Let's have a great time with the show today. Everybody excited? No, so is everybody excited? All right, I hope none of you took sleeping pills before you came. All right, here we go.
This is the Village Cooking Show, presented by Seniorflix. And now, please welcome your host, Rich James.
Thank you so much for being a part of our experience today. You are in for a treat. You've already experienced a lot of energy so far, and we are so appreciative of that. So let's keep on that energy. We are going to feed you to even go further than that, and so we're so excited about what you are in store for. You don't have just one entree or two, but three delicious entrees prepared by world-famous chefs who are here with us today to serve. Isn't the stage manager just doing his job? They're going to dazzle you, our chefs, with their culinary skills and abilities, and we're in for a real great afternoon together. So let's introduce to you our chefs for today. Want to first introduce you to Chef Kyle Mason, who has been working in the hospitality industry for over 30 years. His culinary journey began at a resort in Muskoka, followed by studies at the Pacific Institute of Culinary Arts and an apprenticeship at one of Canada's oldest private clubs, the Terminal City Club. His career has spanned renowned international hotels and culinary schools, including as a private chef for the Canadian Alpine Ski Team. Chef Kyle joined Sodexo as a regional executive chef in British Columbia. Since 2019, he has been a corporate chef for Sodexo Canada, developing innovative recipes and menus for all segments of their business. Now, outside of the kitchen, Chef Kyle is an avid forager, sourcing wild mushrooms and other local ingredients, and is passionate about giving back to his community through volunteer work. Please give a warm village welcome to Chef Kyle Mason. Welcome, Chef Kyle. So good to have you here today, Kyle. Now, with over 45 years in the culinary and hospitality industry, Chef Bosseri Silva has mastered the art of fine dining, menu creation, and food service management. His career started in Sri Lanka and gained experience in different countries, ranging from luxury hotels to exclusive retirement residents, like Shepherd Village. His passion for exceptional dining experiences shines through every dish that he makes. Currently, as chef supervisor here at Shepherd Village, Bosseri is serving the residents through catering services, menu development, and ensuring high-quality meals for diverse dining settings. His expertise in recipe innovation, staff training, and cost management has made a lasting impact in Shepherd Village and our culinary journey. Previously, as chef at Hazelden Place, he led fine dining experiences, curated gourmet menus, and maintained the highest standards of food quality and service. With a Red Seal chef certification, diplomas in professional cookery and food services and nutrition management, and an active membership in the Canadian Society of Nutrition Management, Chef Bosseri continues to push culinary boundaries while featuring future chefs. And so would you give our chef, Bo, a warm Shepherd Village round of applause? Welcome, Chef Bo.
Thank you.
So good to have both of our chefs here today, and we're just really in for a fantastic treat, literally and figuratively. There's lots in store today. So I have a few questions for you as we begin. And Chef Kyle, tell us a little bit about your background in terms of how you got into the world of culinary services and becoming a chef.
Sure, absolutely. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Yeah, I started as a dishwasher, actually, as most chefs do. Whoops, sorry. And I'm getting used to having a camera on my chest. This is the first time. So I started as a dishwasher in a resort, and I could look over and see the chef, and I thought, that chef's having a lot of fun. I thought, oh, this could be a career. And that was really what got me started. And her cream of mushroom soup. I remember the first chef I worked under, I thought, oh, I've had cream of mushroom soup. I know how to make it. You open the can, you mix in a little milk. I've seen it all, you know? And then I tried her cream of mushroom soup and it just blew my mind. So I was like, okay. So that's what got me interested, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Chef Bo, we're very familiar with you, and all of us have tasted your food over the years. Now, one thing we might not know about you is the places you have cooked. What's the most interesting location that you've ever made a meal?
I work at the Auberge du Pommier. It's one of the fine dining restaurants in Toronto. It's in York Mills and Yonge. So as I came to Canada as an immigrant, my first job was Auberge du Pommier. It's owned by Peter Oliver and Michael Bonicini.
Yes.
So I worked there about 2 years. It's an exclusive fine dining place. So I work at all the stations. They have a hot range, cold, and the desserts.
Very, very impressive.
Yes.
Much more impressive than me cooking at 83 Temple Way in Brooklyn. So what is a signature dish that might be something you are famous for?
I like to do more baking. Bread is my favorite thing.
I've heard that. Bread. Have anybody tasted the delicious breads here? I know we've got some folks who have enjoyed that. I would agree with that.
That's my favorite.
Now, Chef Kyle, I'm not sure if you'd like to confess this. This is, of course, being recorded and it's on YouTube, so you may not want to do this, but can you explain to us a cooking disaster that you had in the kitchen? Something, maybe that caught fire, you kind of became a, out of control moment for you. You ever have a time like that?
It's hard to pick which one.
Okay.
No, yeah. I think, the one that scared me the most was after I had just finished culinary school. I had a great apprenticeship. I thought this is going to be the start of a great career. And I was carrying a bus bin of food out of the fridge, and I kicked the door open, and my executive chef was right in front of the door, bending over, and I hit him, and I thought, that's the end of my career. But luckily, he gave me a second chance, and I still worked with him. Yeah,
That should be encouraging for all of us,
Yes,
whenever
yes.
something goes wrong
Yes.
for us in the kitchen.
Yes.
That, even the professionals do make mistakes. I easily set off the alarm just cooking toast. So things happen in the kitchen, and it is a part of the experience.
I think what makes you a good chef or good cook is not that you don't make mistakes. It's how you handle those mistakes, right? How you adapt, how you recover, and
I have heard
good
that
food.
all good chefs, their phone number is on record at the local fire department. So it's just the reality of it all, right? So
Yeah.
well, let's get into our first course, and we're going to be serving a bruschetta mix, and so let's give a round of applause as we get into this. So tomato balsamic bruschetta. Chef Bo, talk to us a little bit about this recipe that we are going to make here live for us today.
Yeah, we make the bread this morning. We make the baguette.
Yep.
So you can make any bread as you like it. So we chose to go with the baguette today. So this one we make this morning from this kitchen. So we have to slice this one and we brush with olive oil and we toasted that one. And in the meantime, we get diced tomatoes, tomato brunoise we call them, and some shallots, some basil, and we toss them with olive oil and a bit of salt, pepper. On top of that, we got the fresh Parmesan mozzarella cheese. So we put down the cheese on top, tomatoes, we flash them in the oven. So that's what it is.
Okay. Now,
That's it.
of course, throughout the afternoon, as our chefs explain the recipes, you might be wishing, I wish I had that. Well, we've provided sheets of paper for you so you can take that home and be able to replicate those recipes. So
Great.
what's going to happen next? What are you going to show for us?
All right, we can show them how we make it.
Yeah, so I think do you want to?
Okay, yeah.
So as you know, Chef Bo is a master bread baker. I know I was looking forward to this because I travel to a lot of kitchens, but very few make their own bread. And so to be able to walk in and smell that fresh bread in the morning was something I was really looking forward to. So yes, as Bo said, bruschetta is really about the meaning of bruschetta is really about toasted bread or to toast, right? We know in North America, we always see tomatoes on top, but but it really is about the bread originally. I think so. We can play around with different toppings, as Chef Bo is saying. There's different breads we can use: sourdough, focaccia, ciabatta. We're going to use a fresh-made baguette here. The toppings, though, can be many different types of toppings. I think olive oil and a little bit of garlic is really the main thing you want to have on there. In North America, we typically will put fresh tomatoes, garlic, maybe some shallots or something like that on there. But you can put, beans, vegetables, cured meats like prosciutto sometimes you see. So the options are endless. So we're going to toast some bread there. And then what I'm going to do is cut some of the filling here. So we're just using Roma tomatoes here. Now you can use any tomato. Sometimes in the summer you can get different colored tomatoes. You'll see a yellow or purple tomato. Sometimes it's nice to mix those different colors when you have them. It looks sort of visually appealing. And typically when we do this, we'll cut out the seeds in the center. It's not that we don't like that part of the tomato. We can use it for something else. We'll maybe put it in our tomato sauce instead at home. But this is a little bit watery, and we don't want the water to go and soak into the bread. So we remove this, and we'll save that, and then we'll just put the flesh of the tomato on top when we make it. Now again, the variety that you do here can really change. You can use all sorts of different toppings. Sometimes in the winter, when tomatoes aren't as fresh, we can even use some roast vegetables. I've done it with roast squash, roast peppers, different things like that.
Now, other than don't cut your fingers off,
Yes.
are there any tips that you could give in terms of helping us
Yes, absolutely. So I
dice
think,
these tomatoes?
one thing that always helps is making sure you're standing straight in front of the cutting board,
Yep.
Not twisted to the side or anything like that. It seems small, but it helps. And I think, holding it seems awkward at first, but holding the food like this so that you're not keeping your fingers out. It doesn't feel natural at first. I find keeping your elbow out helps. But you're just slicing that nice and smooth and evenly. Don't have to go fast. And if you're not comfortable with this, sometimes the grocery store sells the pre-diced tomatoes too. You don't have to tell your guests or your friends. You can just hide the jar when you get when they come over. But really, just and a serrated knife works well too. If you're not comfortable with a sharper chef's knife, you can always use a serrated knife like this. Some people will even have a tomato knife. You'll see it in the store. There we go. We'll also do a shallot here as well. Now, you can use, if you don't have shallots, that's fine. I mean, we're using shallots instead of onion just because it's a milder flavor. Right. It's not as strong when it's raw. You could also use green onion if you want. Some people, if you want to use regular onion, will cook it a little bit first in a pan, maybe just saute it a bit. That takes away the raw flavor. Now, with shallots, if you want to get it really small, nice flat surface so it's not sliding around on your cutting board. And then just thin slices like this. Taking your time, going very carefully. And then I'll even do one slice like this in the end. Now I'm slicing at this end, but I'm leaving the end together so that it's easier to hold. And then I'll just do cuts across the side like that. And again, if you can go small, it's better because the flavor will be sort of evenly distributed there. Put that. Now, if you want, you can also do it a different way. You could just chop it like bigger chunks if you're more comfortable, and then chop it like this. Right. And that way, you don't have to have your fingers close to the blade. It's a little bit easier that way. That's that. Now, some people will put garlic inside this. You can do raw garlic if you like garlic. It's very strong. Some people can cook it too if you want, so that the flavor's not so strong. Another thing we're going to do, and it's what we've done today, is you'll just take the garlic and just rub it a little bit on the bread like that. So you're not getting a really strong flavor. You just get a little bit of that fresh garlic flavor. Just cut it in half and then just rub it on your bread a little bit. Oops, and that gets a bit of the olive oil in there. Now, last, we'll take some fresh herbs. Now this can be basil, it can be parsley, it can be sort of whatever's fresh that you have around. Basil or parsley is sort of the classic. And again, a sharp knife helps, especially with basil, just because a dull knife will make the basil turn brown fairly quickly, whereas a sharp knife, it will stay nice and green. So that's that. Now, we can also add just a little bit of olive oil, just in the mix here, just a tiny bit. It just helps it hold it together. There we go. We've also got a little bit of salt and pepper. Now, if you're making this ahead of time, you don't want to put the salt on too early, just because it will take the moisture, the water out of the tomatoes. So we want to put that on last minute. Just a little bit of black pepper. If you have a mill, fresh ground is always nice too. And next, we'll cut the cheese here, our fresh mozzarella. Now, you can use Parmesan if you want. You can skip the cheese too if you don't like cheese. It's not necessary. It's just something that we like to do sometimes. This is from just down the street at the Italian Grocers. Picked this up this morning. Now, we're just going to cut this in half a little bit, and then just cut some slices of this cheese here. And then we're going to set that slice of cheese, fresh mozzarella, just on top of the bread, like that. And now sometimes you can blast that in the oven if you want. Just melt the cheese just a little bit, not too much. And then we'll put the filling on top there. And actually, I'll just use, there we go. Sorry, I forgot my spoon, but we'll use some bread here. It's a natural spoon. There we go, on top like that. And then we would just, again, you can just blast that in the oven just to give it a little bit of, or just to make it nice and soft. But then essentially you're done there. Now, one thing we've done for yours as well, and you get to try this, I see it coming out the back right now. We've also put a little bit of balsamic glaze on top there too. So that's just balsamic vinegar cooked down, reduced down. So it's a little bit sweet, and it just gives it a little nice flavor on top. But that's another option or variety, again, that you can do. So,
How many people here have made this for yourselves? How many people have made bruschetta at home before? All right, we have a few folks who've done that. So
yes.
We are excited to taste this, and we'll be looking for some feedback at the very end. So if you've got questions, or you kind of want to maybe rate it, give it a 9 out of 10, we'll have that all at the end. But as the servers are coming out to serve this to you, we just want to go to a commercial break right now and a word from our sponsor. So please look at the screens. So you've had your appetites wet with the first course. Now we're going to move on to the second one, and another opportunity for our chefs to impress you. And so, Chef Kyle, what's on the menu for this next meal?
Great. Yeah, thanks. We're going to be serving our fish cake with romesco sauce and greens. So Chef Bo is going to be preparing our fish cake here today. So today we're going to be using fresh fish. We've got blue cod and salmon, but there are many ways to prepare fish cakes. You'll see if you've ever traveled to the East Coast in Canada or parts of Europe, you'll see fish cakes made with salt cod a lot and potatoes. This is great for, when in the winter, if you didn't have refrigeration or something, you could rinse out that salt cod, boil it or cook it with some potatoes and create a nice meal with that. Here we can do it with fresh fish as well. Sometimes we'll bind it with breadcrumbs, sometimes with eggs, but lots of ways to prepare a fish cake. But today we're going to do it, yes, with blue cod and salmon. So we're going to cut this up and cook it a little bit in some butter. And then we're going to mix it in with some potatoes, lemon zest, and parsley as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yes.
It sounds delicious and complicated.
Once you see it, I just make it sound complicated.
Okay. I just think I can make a ham sandwich a whole lot easier.
That's right. That's right.
All right, well, looking forward to this.
Thanks.
Chef Bo, take it away.
Yeah.
So again, some slicing here and the technique that...
Cutting it into some smaller pieces so that we don't have thick chunks or anything anywhere there. Just going to add a little bit of butter to the pan here as well, while Chef Bo is cutting those up.
Okay. Now, as you're doing this, is there something that as we've got the recipe and we're listening to you, but
Yes.
is there something that we could make a mistake really easily that we just we forget or we just don't do it in the right order or anything like that? Is there something we should be remembering?
It's a good question. I think, fish cakes are fairly forgiving, but like all fish, you don't want to cook it too much, right? Just
Okay.
gently cooking it here. So I think the idea is, we're warming up a little butter. We can put a little bit of garlic in there if we want, or shallots just to give a little bit of flavor in there. But it's really cooking it for just a few minutes. It's not
the key.
Not cooking it right through because we're going to form it and cook it again as well. So this is really just to give it a little bit of flavor, and we want to keep some moisture in there still. So yes. I should note here at Shepherd Village, we're always using sustainable seafood too as well. This is our sustainably caught Pacific salmon that we're using here as well. And as well sustainably caught blue cod. Now you can use, if you don't have a shellfish allergy, you can use shellfish as well. You'll see crab, shrimp can be
Yeah.
mixed in here. Do you have any favorites, Chef Bo, or favorite ingredients?
I love the crab cakes.
Crab cakes, yes.
cakes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah.
So what you do is you mix all the ingredients together, and we just put some of the butter here to once the butter get melted, so we can fry this in here.
There we go. Yep. Again, we're just cooking this a little bit just to give it a bit of flavor. The shallot that he's put in there, or you could use green onion too if you don't have shallots at home. Just a light cooking just to get some of that flavor together there. Yep. Chef Bo's doing all the hard work here.
All right. So now we're moving on to
Yes.
the potato prep.
Yeah, so we've steamed this potato, or you can bake the potato as well already, just so that it's pre-cooked a little bit. Another great thing too, if you have leftover potatoes, maybe you boiled some potatoes the night before, you can save some and incorporate them into a fish cake.
It will hold together.
Yeah, that's right. Helps it bind together. Thank you. There we go. You can also use breadcrumbs or bread for this as well, but the potato's nicer because most people can eat it. There's no gluten or anything in there.
So in terms of like the ratio of items.
Yeah, good question. I would say it's about equal parts, a little bit more fish. You want to say about 2/3 fish to 1/3 potato.
Yeah, that's right.
Looking great
Yeah.
there. Does that sound to you? Perfect. And then so once that's mixed, now one thing we can also do if we want a little bit of the fresh
Lemon
lemon
zest, yeah.
flavor is we can zest a lemon in there. Lemon zest gives that nice kind of sweet flavor. You want to make sure you're not getting the white part of the lemon in there because that's bitter though, but the yellow part's very sweet. So we always use the finer grater on your grater if you can. If you use the big grater, it sometimes is a little bit bitter, but when you just get that yellow part on the outside, it's nice and sweet. Gives it a little fresh lemon flavor. You can put lemon juice in, but then you get the sour flavor too, which we don't always want. Sometimes we do, but not always. And then we can also add a
some
little bit
parsley
of
there, yeah.
parsley in there just for color. There we go. Now again, basil would work. Chives are also nice things to add in here. There we go.
Certainly smells good.
And now once
Yeah.
that's together, Chef Bo's going to form it into a cake. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So you can start making this.
Perfect. So while Chef Bo is forming that into a cake, I'm going to prepare a sauce to go with it. I wanted to try and do something a little different, but not too out there today, but it's a romesco sauce. So this is a sauce from northern Spain originally. It was fishermen would prepare this sauce to serve with their fish. It's often roasted tomatoes, roasted garlic, and other ingredients. It's very common to see pepper in there as well, red pepper or sweet pepper. And so we're going to chop those up and roast it. Now, I've cheated a little bit. I have some pre-roasted vegetables here, but it's just tomatoes, peppers, a little bit of onion and garlic. I'm going to take that and put it into a blender. Now, again, this is a sauce that really varies a lot. People change the ingredients that go in there between different families, between different villages. The ingredients can change a bit. It's very common to see pieces of bread in here. It's another thing to do with your day-old bread. Nuts in here, almonds, pine nuts can go in here as well to thicken it. Now we're keeping those out today just so that everyone can eat it, but we're just doing it with our roasted tomatoes, roasted peppers, garlic, and a little bit of onion in there.
I appreciate you telling us a bit. I was going to ask you if there are any sort of secret ingredients that you personally like to throw in, but
Well, yeah, I mean, I do. I like it just even plain like this. Sometimes with a little bit of nuts, almonds are nice in there. But and I've seen some recipes with pine nuts or hazelnuts. But I think it's really about getting the texture nice and smooth, and a little bit of acid in there too. So actually, I've put a little bit of red wine vinegar in there too.
So, Bo, as you're down here making the cake,
Yeah.
what was the process that you followed?
We just
in
put
terms of
about the-
size of the.
Yeah, this one is already made now.
That looks great.
So this is the cake here.
Okay.
So basically what we do is with the flour, egg wash, then the breadcrumbs.
All right.
So then you
Flour,
put them
egg
in,
wash, and the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, then you put them
And
in
just
the
at the
oven.
palm of your hand.
Yes,
Okay.
and then you bake them in the oven, ready to go.
Very good.
Yeah, we can pan fry them or deep
Yeah.
fry them, but to be healthier, we like to brush it with a little oil, bake it in the oven, and that keeps it a little lower fat. Now with this sauce, I would say the one secret is the last ingredient we're going to add is olive oil. So I'm going to turn the blender on, but I'm going to add the olive oil while the blender's running, and that way you get a nice creamy sauce. If you just put it in and turn it on, it won't necessarily get that same texture. So pardon the noise, I'll keep it down a little bit. Oh, there we are. So while that's running, just gonna pour the olive oil in the lid like this. And that's gonna emulsify it in there so we have a nice like glossy, shiny sauce. We're not gonna see any oil on top. It's gonna be well emulsified in there. And that's it. And then you have your romesco sauce there.
Nice,
So
beautiful
you can
color.
taste it, add a little extra salt if you like a little extra salt in there. But yes, that's our romesco sauce. And now, so now we would just
Arugula.
plate with a little bit of arugula. So you're gonna get to try some here. And romesco sauce, it's like tartar sauce. It's rich too, and the fish cake is a rich flavor as well. So the greens, it's nice to have the greens with it just to balance that out a bit, give you some fresh flavor along with the rich fish cake and sauce. And that's about it for our recipe, I think. Yeah, that's.
How many folks like fish
Yeah.
cakes? You're looking forward to this. So we're going to serve this up. Perhaps this is a reflection of a meal you grew up with, or something of culture that you enjoy. And as Chef Bo said, maybe you'd swap it out with crab meat.
Yes.
And to taste. But as we prepare to receive this, another word from our sponsor, and we're going to watch this quick clip. All right. Well, we've already had 2 fantastic courses. How many have appreciated it so far? Let's see if our chefs can go 3 for 3, and it's time for our final dish. Cranberry meringue pie. Does that sound delicious or what? A nice way to end the day. So, Chef Bo, what's the grand finale looking like here before us?
Good. So we are going to make the pie crust in one of these ones.
Yep.
These pie shells. So we get flour, icing sugar, butter, and the eggs for that.
So that's all what you need for the crust.
That's correct.
Okay.
So we make the crust, and this one we are going to make the cranberry sauce for that, and then we are going to make the lemon curd. That
Okay.
is basically butter and egg yolk, and the lemon. So, yeah,
There's really several stages to this.
that's correct.
This
Yes.
piece.
Yeah.
It's true. It's several stages, but don't be intimidated or scared off if you want to try this. There's also some shortcuts. We're going to make everything from scratch here.
Yeah.
but you can buy a tart shell at the grocery store, and then that saves you one step. We're doing 2 fillings in here, a lemon curd, but also a cranberry sauce. You could just do one. So yeah, there's ways that this can be a more manageable recipe.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely sounds like the kind of thing that is gone before you even get a chance to try it.
That's true.
So I'm glad all of you are not in that place. We will have a piece for you, but I'll let you do your thing here. So
Thank you.
Chef Bo, you're working on the crust.
Yeah.
Chef Kyle, you're working on the.
I'm going to make the cranberry sauce. Yes, Chef Bo is not just good at bread. He's also good at all pastries. Yeah, I've been learning a lot from him. So we're going to let him work on the crust there. For the cranberry sauce, I'm just going to add some water and cranberries in here to a pot. I'm also going to add a little bit of orange juice in here, just to give it a little bit of a tang. And then
Could you use any other kind of juice, or
you could
that's-
use any, yes, you could use a little bit of lemon juice
Okay.
if you wanted. I would use less, just so that it's not too sour.
Right.
You could use, if you've got other juices around, pineapple or something, but the idea is you want just a little bit of acidity in there, I think, just to go along with that. So we're going to bring that up to a simmer there. Thank you. Well, we're going to cook this just until the cranberries are soft and bursting. We don't want them to be hard or anything like that. So we're going to let that simmer for about 5-6 minutes.
Okay.
Magically, that's just happened.
Yep.
Okay. All the magic of TV. Now we would puree this sauce a little bit, and then just to take the lumps out. So you could use a blender, or you could use an immersion blender if you have it. And then I have just a little bit of cornstarch and water here that we'll mix in just to thicken it up. That way it's not too runny. When you use cornstarch, the trick is to mix it with water first before you put it into your sauce. Otherwise, it'll be lumpy. So some of you may have used it in your gravy. It's similar to potato starch, but the key is to mix it first. And then we'll just mix it into our warm sauce. We're going to let that simmer for about 2-3 minutes just to cook the starch, and then that's going to be finished. So we'll set this aside. And then
Chef Bo, your hand's getting a workout here as you
Yeah.
take that.
I'm
dough.
just making the dough now.
Yeah.
So I'm just mixing them until it all get it together, and rest it for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we can roll it out.
The rest is very important in this.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Chef Bo would explain it better, but the resting is important just because that allows the dough to relax, right?
Yeah.
Is that
So this is comes like this,
perfect?
and so
Yeah.
we just leave it here for about few minutes, then we can roll it out.
And if you were doing this at home, and you could let it rest in your fridge.
Yes.
You could cover it, maybe, just so it doesn't dry out.
Yeah.
If you want, lots of options there, but really important to let it rest.
So even though we're, as you say, for the magic of TV,
Yes.
making this in a short amount of time.
Yes.
This is one of those recipes that you're not making. Oh no, company's over in 10 minutes.
Yes,
It
that's
does-
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
This is not for the last minute guest.
Yeah.
This is the one you've invited and planned for. And you can prepare it a day ahead too. You could make your pie crust a day ahead and
Yeah.
then just do your fillings later.
So you can put a little bit of butter or olive oil for the tray, so it puts together.
And then I'll switch here.
Yeah.
So while Bo is
get the meringue?
yes, good point. Actually, I'm just because this is hot.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the curd going. So for the lemon curd, I'm just adding a little bit of lemon juice in there. Thank you. There we go. I'm going to add in the yolks, but I'm going to be stirring while this is going in there just so that we don't get any lumps. And then as well, I'm just adding in the sugar here too.
And all the quantities are.
All the quantities are in your recipe there.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're just adding in that sugar there. Thank you. And then we're going to let that cook down just for about 5 minutes, but you need to be stirring constantly there. Just so if I stop stirring, it's going to get lumps in there, and we want it nice and smooth. So I would keep stirring that. And the way to test is till it coats your spoon. You want it to be just a thin coating on your spoon. And if you do a line, the line stays there. If the line disappears right away, you got to cook it some more. So that's the trick. But you want to be able to do a line on your spoon and see that line staying there, and then you know it's the right consistency, and then you would take it off right away.
Yeah.
And in case anybody was wondering
Yes.
why there was a whole lot of sugar going in there, please know that when you're watching a cooking show live, there are no calories in what you're going to eat.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
It just magically go away.
This is true.
Magic of TV, so we're fine.
Yeah.
So this is how we make the dough. So we roll out the
Very
dough
nice.
like this. So you can just hold it on the pan here. So you just
Chef Bo is very skilled at this. As I'm sure many of you know, you want to handle that dough as little as possible, right? The heat from your hands is the enemy to flaky pastry. So you want to touch it as little as possible. Bo's using a lot of great techniques, using his roller there so that he's not handling it too much.
so this is how it
And
looks
there,
like.
looks beautiful. Yeah.
And we bake this one first about 5-10 minutes until it comes like this one. I make one earlier to show them. So this is the baked crust already.
Nice, looks great. Now, while Chef Bo is doing that, I'm just going to make the meringue. That's right. So to make the meringue, there's lots of different, three main ways to make meringue. You can just put in egg whites and sugar. So you have the recipe with you there, but it's about 1 part, am I remembering this right? 1
Yes.
part egg whites to 2 part
2
sugar?
parts sugar, that's correct.
Thank you. Between the two of us, we remember. And then one thing you want to do with meringue, it's not necessary, but it's helpful to put a little bit of lemon juice or cream of tartar in there. It just helps make sure your peaks stay stiff and less things can go wrong. So it's not necessary, but I always do it, and I think most people always do it. Just a little bit of insurance there. So we've got the egg whites in there, and then now I'm going to turn this up on high, and we're just going to let that mix. That's going to take a couple of minutes, but we're waiting till it's a stiff peak in there.
There's probably a lot of folk in here who have done that the good old-fashioned way.
That's right. That's right.
Elbow
We're
grease.
cheating. Don't
Yeah.
tell anyone. At least this isn't being filmed. No one will know. So now some ways you can make meringue is you can just take your sugar and pour it into there and whip it. But then you have to make sure that you bake the meringue later just because of the raw egg whites in there, right? The way we're going to do it today is just to add a little sugar into a pot with a little bit of water. And we're going to cook this, again, for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so, basically to cook away the water. I mean, we don't actually want to add the water in here, but if I were to cook just the sugar, it would turn into caramel. So we don't want the caramel. The water will just help keep the temperature nice and even, and we're going to cook that for it's going to take about 5 minutes just to get the water away. If you have a thermometer at home, you can take the temperature. You want it to be just above boiling, so about 120. But again, it's just about 5-10 minutes to cook that. And then once we have our stiff egg whites here, we'll pour that sugar into the meringue, which I'll show you in a minute.
So
Yes.
much about cooking is exploration and discovery, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Experimentation. So I know we've been given recipes and we follow that. You're kind of told that. But if someone was to go off the map,
Yes.
add a variation,
Yes.
what would you suggest? What would be something that you might want to throw in? Like I think chocolate chips are pretty good, but maybe that could ruin the recipe.
You know, it's up to you.
White chocolate.
If you're at home and you want to put chocolate in there, you know what I would do? What I would do is I would melt the chocolate,
Yeah.
and then I would brush the chocolate into your pastry.
Pie dough, yeah.
Let it cool down, and then pour your curd on top. So we can put in chocolate if we want. Now,
Right.
you could also make the meringue and shave chocolate on top with a vegetable peeler or a grater. Just put a little chocolate dusting on there. Now, some people do that with an orange curd. So orange and chocolate are a classic combination. So if you want chocolate, you could brush your tart with chocolate, pour in your orange curd. Same process, you're just using orange juice instead of
Sounds
lemon
perfect.
juice. So lots of options. And now our meringue is getting close here.
Yeah.
I'll just show you, we're looking for what's called stiff peaks. And this is almost, it's not quite, but I'll just show you as an example. Oh, that's pretty good, actually. So you want to be able to take it and have it sort of stand up in there a bit. So I would let it go just a little longer, but it's getting close there. There we go. Now, Chef Bo is going to take our cranberry sauce, which we've already prepared, and he is going to put that on top of the lemon curd. So we are layering the flavors here. It could be many flavors. We could have chocolate, lemon, and cranberry. Today we only have lemon and cranberry. And then we're going to add in our already prepared meringue, which I've put into a piping bag. Now at home, if you don't have a piping bag, you can use a spatula here as well. But if,
Oh, yes, that looks fantastic.
Good.
but if your home has Chef Bo just down the hallway, you can do it with a piping bag, and it's
I
great.
was going to say,
Yes.
we've given everybody a recipe, but how many would say, I'd rather take one of these guys home instead?
Yeah, there we go, there we go. There we go. Yes. So to finish the meringue, I would just take this and pour it into the meringue while it's whisking. But Chef Bo has done this already. And for the final touch, we're just going to take a small blowtorch here and just give it a little bit of color here. And you'll see it.
Heard that we had the fire alarm go off in here on Sunday morning.
No, there we are. That's why we brought
That's
this.
it, yeah.
We brought the small torch, so that's we didn't bring the big torch, just the small torch. But there you are. It just gives it a little bit of color on the top. And then when you've used the piping bag like Chef Po, you see the contrast between the white and the brown, and so it just elevates it a little bit there.
I think you
There we are. Thank you.
This particular dish made with a lot of love and passion and butter and sugar.
That's right.
Yes.
Perfect combination. And so we're going to serve that to you in a few moments. And as we do, another word from our sponsor. Word from our sponsor. Well, while you're finishing off this last part of our meal, we're going to move to a moment of question and answer with our chefs. All right. I think Bo is expecting a bit more applause. So, I don't know. How about that? Bo.
You back there?
Bo. 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 Yay. All right. So I don't know if anybody here has a question you'd like to ask. We'll certainly take questions from the floor, but my first question to you is, what's one kitchen tool or gadget that you cannot do without?
I mean, a good chef's knife is hard to do
Chef's
without.
knife.
Chef's knife will be the
But
one, yes.
yeah, but I would say the more recent one is a microplane, which I don't have to show you here, but it's a very fine grater. And I think most chefs and chefs at home have been using that in the kitchen. It's a way to add, different textures that you wouldn't normally see. If you grate your Parmesan cheese on it, it makes it nice and light and fluffy. So
microplane.
yeah, microplane is the newer.
Okay,
yeah,
so
the
Christmas lists coming
Yes,
up,
there you go.
microplanes for
Microplane,
Shepherd Village.
yes.
What's the most useless gadget that is out there these days that you're just like, why did that thing even get invented? Anything?
This
Question, yes.
is a tough one. I can say for me personally, it's a garlic press. But I understand that other people like their garlic press. But I think for me, I just like to use my knife. But that's personal.
Yep.
That's personal.
Okay.
So yeah.
If someone had to have something prepared within 5 minutes, what's a go-to menu item that you could make in a real quick amount? I mean, you're showing us a few things here.
Sure.
Something really quick that, residents here might be able to replicate.
Do you want me to start? I can start if
Yeah.
you want. I mean, one that I make at home a lot. I don't know if I should say this, but it's with frozen peas. I just take some frozen peas and boil some pasta, and I'll cook the peas and I'll puree half the peas and make a sauce with it, and I'll put some olive oil in there, and then I'll just mix it all together. So half pureed peas, half whole or some whole peas, and then the pasta, and I mix that with a little Parmesan cheese, and it's pretty quick.
Good to go. That's
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Chef Bo, do you have any quick?
Yeah, same
Quick
thing
hits.
that you can get even the rice noodles, rice and noodles, soak them in a cold water, 2-3 minutes, just blanch them in hot water, is ready to go with that one.
There you go.
can add any other vegetable like snow peas, something can be eaten with
Yep.
even, yeah.
Nice and fresh.
Trust them soya
Studio
sauce.
audience question.
Yes.
Okay, Bo, the fish cake was wonderful.
Thank you.
My father used to make them, and he always used mashed potatoes. Would you ever use mashed potatoes instead of a baked potato?
You can use it, yes.
Yeah.
The potato will be the binding agent for fish cakes, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think mash is a great idea. I
Yeah.
think I've used it many times, and if you've put a bit of butter in your mash when you made it, it's just adding a little more flavor to the fish cake. So absolutely, yeah, it's a great idea.
Yes.
That's
yes.
true. Yes, yes.
Any other questions from the studio audience here? While we wait, and maybe you're cooking up a question, I have a question for you. If you were to make a meal for someone, anyone, past or present, who would that be, and what would you make them? So pick anybody in history, someone you're like, I would love to have cooked for, or I would like to cook for at some point, and this is what I would make them. Chef Bo, anything come to mind? Anyone come to mind? You could say my name.
Yes.
Yeah. I've tasted your roast beef. Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
Yep.
Roast beef or even ossobuco.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
can get
those
that.
are- those are delicious. Yeah. For dishes, for me, my favorite dish to cook for myself or for others is a beef Wellington. I think that's one of my favorites to cook. So for the person, I don't know though. That's a good question. I think most of my cooking career was, or at least the first half was in Vancouver. And I wished I could have cooked for my grandparents more that were in Ontario at the time. So I think if I could cook for anyone at this time, it would be them. Yeah.
What's it like to manage kitchens and working with teams? Most of us haven't had that experience. I mean, we're home cooks, so to speak, but you are, commanding a team of people. And how do you keep harmony and everything going in the right direction and, providing service?
What do you think? We're still practicing that. aren't we?
Respect is and hands-on.
Yes.
Yeah, hands-on will be the
That's
most
true.
important. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's what Chef Bo is very good at. I can say he's in the kitchen all the time. It's one chef I worked for many years ago used to say, you can't manage a kitchen from the office. And it's true. You really have to be hands-on, showing the team, training the
That's
team
correct, yeah.
so that they know how to do the work as well. But yeah, it's a lot of things to think about too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions do we have? We have several, okay?
Oh, my question is, how much of the cream of tartar would you use for the meringue?
That's right. It's a good question. I would think for that batch, a half teaspoon?
Yeah,
teaspoon? Half teaspoon.
half a teaspoon will be fine with
Yes.
that one.
Yes.
Okay.
In all of your career, what is the weirdest or most exotic thing that you've ever cooked? And who did you cook it for?
That's tough. Good question. I mean,
Yeah, I think one
know?
time I make it over here.
Okay.
Accidentally, I think we put about 2 times a bit salt for that. It was very salty for that food. I was very embarrassed for that, and so we had to. It happened to be one of the board members over here too.
Okay.
So that was here.
Yeah.
Okay. Twice the salt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good question. I mean, I think when I was working in Vancouver, we cooked for a few of the 2 different prime ministers at the time. So, and I think that was, some of the most high-end food that I had cooked at that time. Did a lot of truffles on there, black truffles shaved on there, a lot of sort of fresh seafood just caught from the boats that day. But yeah, that was a lot of fun there. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. So while you're doing that, I'll ask one. There's so many cookbooks out there and cooking shows and all tips and tricks. Is there one cooking myth that people believe that actually isn't really true? Is there something that it seems to be conventional wisdom, but it's not actually accurate?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I think it's a lot too. Like cooks just say you don't question sometimes the person you learn from. Or that's the old-fashioned way, right? Is the chef says it's this way, you don't ask why. You just do it that way. And so a lot of bad habits kind of keep going. one thing I would say is searing the meat doesn't really seal in the juices. A lot of people say that you sear the meat to seal the juices of the meat in, but that's not really true. It's still good to sear the meat. It adds flavor,
Yep.
but it doesn't actually seal in the juices. Yeah, so that's one. Yeah. I would say, one story I heard, and maybe you've heard it too, it might be a common story, but a mother was teaching her daughter how to cook a roast beef and said the first step is you cut the roast in half. And the daughter said, well, why do you cut the roast in half? And she said, I don't know, that's just always the way I did. My grandmother taught me, you cut it in half. And so they went and they asked her grandmother and said, okay, you started it, why do we cut it in half? She said, well, I have only 2 small pots, so I have to cut it in half to fit it in, 2 small pots. But, so those habits just kind of keep going sometimes and nobody asks why. Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
We have a question.
I have a question on the meringue that you were making. You said to melt the sugar in a little bit of water, I believe, and then you add the syrup to the
Yes.
egg whites.
Yes.
Now, when you do that, will it not drop the peaks of your egg whites?
It's a very good question. That's so I think the key is to keep it moving on a medium speed in your mixer. You don't want to whip it too hard, but you don't want to not whip it. So it's just a gentle whip while you pour it in, and that will it will not deflate if you go just nice even speed. If you just dump it in quickly, you're right, it will drop. But if it's mixing at a medium speed still and you just slowly pour it in, it doesn't have to be too slow, it won't deflate. But you're right. Thank you for asking that. I should have explained that better. So that's an important question. Yeah, and you don't have to do it that way. It's called Italian meringue. There's French, Italian, and Swiss meringue. Those are the 3. So the French is you just add the sugar, no syrup, and that's the safest. But you do have to bake it again, just to make sure the egg whites are cooked. So that's all. Yeah. Great question.
Good. Any other questions? All right. Well, with that in mind, we will come to the end of our Village Cooking Show here today. And before you all leave, and before we go offline here, again, just a reminder, we've been recording this, and you will be able to find the entirety of this episode on our Senior Flicks YouTube channel. And it will be there for you to watch, probably in the next couple of weeks. And if you have any questions about, well, what is YouTube, or how do I find it, please come and see myself, Favor, Barry, or any of our team, and we'll be happy to help you with that. With that in mind, how about we give a round of applause to our amazing chefs today. And our kitchen staff and our serving staff, under the guidance of Wanisha and her team. We've got an amazing tech team. We've got Jake over on the camera and Leah here behind the scenes switching through. They are the ones who have really made Senior Flicks take place and make it professional and excellent quality, and so thank you to them. I want to thank our president, Wendy Beckles. She really has been one to invest in our Senior Flicks initiative and really believes in capturing your stories. And if you want to be a part of Senior Flicks in the days ahead, if there's a story to tell or an experience, an adventure, a recipe, whatever the case may be, we would love to capture them. And so please see myself or Favor. We'll sit down with you either in our studio or come to you and make sure that we provide not only our community with these stories, but maybe for your family members and your grandkids, that they would have an opportunity to hear something of adventure or experience, whatever it may be, over the course of your life. And of course, I want to thank our Spiritual Life and Strategic Partnerships team. They're all across the room here. We got Teresa and Stephanie and Barry and Favor and Pastor Tony in the back. It's been an honor for us to provide this experience for you today and to celebrate Senior Flicks, to celebrate you. Most of all, to celebrate good food with friends. There's nothing better than that. They come around a table and enjoy tasty treats and well-made. And so thank you for giving us your time today. Well, we want to clap for you. And so one last time, let's put Barry on the spot. His job is almost done. There we go. All right, and with that, have a good day.